Well, the rains have passed and it is early. It's about 6:15 this morning, but we're gonna get an early start. I can see the finish line. There's still a lot more, a lot more work to be done. That's why I wanted to get an early start this morning, and we're gonna try to plow through this, get as much of this done as we can today. We'll see where we're at the end of the day. Okay, so now that we've gotten the back section here all finished, now I've got to work above the window. But what I've got to do first is I got to add a 2x4 on the outside of these studs that follows the line of the rafter. And then I've also got to put a couple of 2x4 bracing in between these three studs here so that I have something to attach the boards to. Now, if you're asking yourself, why is it that I brought the cedar so far up the wall and left myself only maybe 4 feet of space to put the polycarbonate plastic? Well, if you're asking yourself that, that's a great question to be asking, and I've got an answer. But first, I got to figure out why my hat looks so silly. What's with that little curve there? I don't know. This hat's been with me since, oh God, well before we ever moved here to Maine. I've had this hat for so long. Matter of fact, I can't even remember when I got it. But I love it. It keeps the sun off my face, and that's a huge plus for me. So, all right, well, going back to the wall. The reason we went all the way up to this window edge here and only left myself 48 inches is the purpose of our greenhouse is not so much to grow through the summer months, although we will be growing in here in the summer months, but it's more so for the late fall and the early spring. Here in Maine, even though the sun is way up here right now, come later in the year, that sun drops considerably. And as a matter of fact, during the winter time, it's actually above or right at the tree line here. And so the whole purpose was to have this nice big front so that we could try to grow again late winter and early spring. Late summer into early winter, and then into late winter and early spring. So if for some reason that we find that it's not as effective as we're hoping or as we're planning, I can always remove these boards and then polycarbonate this area here. Same thing above the door. If I needed to polycarbonate that as well, I could. As far as the roof is concerned, we're going to have 5 feet coming down. That's going to be polycarbonate, and then the rest will be tin. So, all right, but that said, we have to move on to the next portion of this build, and that is adding blocking in between the rear rafters. We want to add blocking there so that we don't have any wind or weather coming in over the top plate of that wall. So let's get on it. Like most things on my projects, things change. And after looking at this, the way that I've built it, I think it would be a lot easier if instead of putting blocking in between each of the rafters, all I did is run a board along the backside of the rafters all the way down. Then all I've got to do is rip a board, put here, boom, problem solved. Let's do that. All right, so I took a break from filming so I could get some work done. Primarily this front done here, and then also the back here. I'll show you. And then back there. It took me a while to figure out what I was going to do, since I am kind of making up this build as I go. But I think the way I came up with it, I think it's going to work as far as keeping that sealed up. Really, the next step for the roof is just to put the roof on. And our friend Alan is going to be visiting us here in a few days to help put that roof on, because I've got a thing about heights, and the older I get, the worse it gets. So he's going to come and he's going to help put that roof on. In the meantime, I am going to start work now on getting our strapping up on the front. So that we can get ready to put our plastic up here. Matcha, always the explorer. Just likes to walk around the yard as Mom and I are out here working. You know you don't belong in here. You know you don't belong in here. What are you doing in here, Matcha? What are you doing, silly goose? All right, well, there she is. She is all set and ready for tin and plastic. And when I talk about plastic, we're putting the plastic sheeting up. Everything wood-wise, frame-wise is all done. Well, it's 98% done. There's a few little things I want to do in terms of adding some trim. But for the most part, we are all set and ready to go. I am going to take that piece of strapping, which is on the inside, off before we put our polycarbonate up. But we're pretty happy. Looks good. So in a couple days here, our friend Alan's going to show up, and we're going to put the tin and the polycarbonate up on the roof. And then we're going to put the polycarbonate on the front and on the side. So tomorrow is supposed to rain, so we're going to probably take a day off. Might get a few things done, but I'm exhausted. Today was a long day. So it's not that hot today, but boy, that sun is brutal. Thankfully, cloud just covered up. One of the reasons we moved to Maine is because I don't like the heat. I don't like it at all. I mean, 75 degrees, full sun, that's about as high as I want to get. Otherwise, it's just, God, it's so draining. Can't do anything. You just want to sit inside with the air conditioning. And what fun is that, you know? I want to be outside, outdoors, fresh air. But holy smokes, when that sun comes out, boy, oh boy, I'll tell you. But at any rate, so Jen and I spent some time this morning figuring out how we wanted to lay out the inside of this greenhouse. And I think we've got a pretty good idea. It's going to take a little bit of work, but that's okay. I think what I'm going to do before I tell you how we're going to lay it out, we're just going to we got to go build some boxes. So I'm going to go build those boxes first. And we're pretty excited about it. I think it's going to look cool. I think it's going to be functional. It's going to work. So, yeah. So I'm going to work on that today. But tomorrow, the tin is going up along with all of the polycarbonate panels. So, yeah, looking forward to that. So, all right. Well, let's go build some boxes. It has been a long day, but we finally got the beds done. Take a look. So this is the layout that we'll have once we get the roof and the polycarbonate siding on. What we're going to do though is we're going to pull these out of here. We're going to level out the ground, and then, as I said earlier in this video, I've got to fix, or at least I've got to add gravel to the base where the foundation is, the blocking on the inside, and then we'll get the boxes back. We'll get them loaded up with some dirt tomorrow, or in a couple of days. Tomorrow we're putting the roof and the polycarbonate on. And then all we've got left to do after that is get the groundwork done, and we'll be done with this project. It's been a long project, but I'm glad that we're at the finish line. It's been a fun build. We got a little bit left to go, so stay tuned, stick around, because we're getting the polycarbonate up next, and the roof. All right, we've got our friend Alan here from My Maine Cabin Life, formerly known as Wilderness Hangout. He's going to be helping us put up the roof, because Lord knows there is no way in hell I am going up there. Alan's going to do that for us. He's going to help us out today. Hopefully we can get everything done today that we need to. We do have some strapping to put up. We've got some V-strapping that Alan has suggested that we're going to add. And then, yeah, we'll get to it. All right, folks, we have a roof. We went with 9 feet of tin and 5 feet of the poly panels, and then we've got the entire front on, which is awesome. I still need to do the sides, but I got to get them cut, and there's a lot of other jobs I have to get done before I put those sides on. So, but I wanted to show what it looks like in here. We'll have to talk about where the location of the beds here later. I'm not quite sure what we're gonna do, if we're gonna leave them where they are or if we're going to move them up towards the front. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure it out here in a few days though. But for right now, we just finished putting all of the screws up on the top strap and then also on the front of the building as well. So what I'm working on right now is the tin was a little bit further than the building, and so instead of cutting the tin, I'm just adding some strapping to compensate for the length. So we're going to put those all up in there. Same thing all the way up here at the where the polycarbonate panels are as well. So it might look a little silly, but that's okay. Hopefully it's just going to be functional, keep the panels, you know, from flopping around. So all right, we're gonna go get that done. Not gonna lie, it is super hot, and I've kind of slowed down on filming because it's hot and I don't like the heat. Kind of show you what I just got done doing. So what I meant earlier was adding these little extensions off the side. It's certainly not aesthetically appealing, but functional. And that's all we care about. So what I'm doing now is I am prepping our corners because we've got the polycarbonate panels on this side and we're gonna have it on this side. But I need to be able to seal up this corner somehow. So what I'm doing is I'm adding some strapping here, and then I've also cut the edge of the polycarbonate, and I'll do the same on this side. And what I'll end up doing is once I've got this polycarbonate up, I've got it all trimmed up, then I'll be able to put some trim pieces on here, make it look really nice. Probably use some cedar. It should come out really good. So I've got these two pieces in here. I've got to get these two sections, and then I've got to work on the other side as well. Well, the day is just about over. I want to send a big thank you to our friend Alan. I'm going to leave a link to his channel in the description. Be sure to check him out. He's got some pretty cool things going on over where he's at. But for today, for us, we got our roof on. We've got the polycarbonate panels up in the front. And the only thing we have left with regarding sheeting is I've got to do these two sides. It's too late in the day for me to make that cut, so we're going to do that in a couple of days. We're going to take tomorrow off. It's supposed to rain really bad, so but when we get back at it, we'll be making the cuts for the sides here. We'll get those up. As far as the trim, this is what the trim is going to look like. It's kind of cool. Kind of hides the edges. Once I get the sides up, all of this will get covered in trim as well, so it'll be nice and clean and neat. We're almost there. Very, very excited. All right, so the way that I cut this polycarbonate panels is really easy. I use my skill saw, and the blade I have is a 60-tooth blade, and I flipped it upside down. And in this case, all I'm going to do, I've got to take this rise off of this panel, so I'm just going to rip it right down, and then we'll have to make a diagonal cut here in a few minutes. So. So now to cut the diagonal portion, or the portion across, basically what I've done is I've already marked my line. So I'm just going to trace my line in, and then we'll cut it. So now that we have the cuts, now it's time to go make sure we got them right and get this thing up.
Is that the one that's supposed to be on?
Yep. All right, folks, well, that will do it. The building is done. It has been a long time coming. We started this build way back in the fall. We wanted to make sure that we had at least the structure built, the framing built to it. Fast forward to the springtime, and we got to work, working on the foundation, and then putting the siding on, and then ultimately the roof and all of the polycarbonate. Overall, this was a fantastic build. It came out exactly the way we had planned it. Now, one of the other features to our greenhouse that just kind of became a part of the build was the fact that we have tons of gaps in our wood. And the benefit to that is it's going to give us ample enough of the airflow that we need. Now, the other thing is we do plan on putting a wood stove in here, and we're going to attempt to heat the greenhouse. I don't know how well it's going to work out, but we're going to give it a shot. All right, well, again, this has been a fun build for Jen and I. Neither one of us have ever had a greenhouse before, and we wanted something special to us, something that we built, and we did it. So this build consisted of quite a few videos of our progress. Stay tuned, though, because in a week or two, I'll be releasing a start to finish video, which is going to be from the time that we start doing the foundation till today, with it being done. So what's next? Well, the next step for us is we're going to bring in some gravel. We're going to do some groundwork here. We've also got to fill the boxes up with loam. And then we're also going to build a small ramp going into the greenhouse. So we'll get that done here in the next few days. And we'll certainly update you guys in one of those videos showing you guys what we've done. And be sure to stay tuned, because we will be sharing with you folks our progress as we attempt to grow some tomatoes in our greenhouse. All right, well, on behalf of Jen and I, thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video. And if you liked it, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you folks on the next video.